Welcome to Tobar's Realm. Today I'm going to start my second attempt at making a pre-made Swedish torch. Last time I just used a piece of this same 6x6 timber and I drilled a 1-inch hole down the center from the top and then a 1-inch hole about 3 inches from the bottom and connected the two in the middle. I tried lighting it, but it didn't seem like it was getting enough air, so I ended up drilling a hole all the way through on the bottom. I did end up getting it lit, but it made a lot of smoke and didn't want to really work optimally. So I'm going to start making a second block. I'm going to drill larger holes this time, I think. Probably 2-inch or close to 2-inch instead of 1-inch. And then my real plan is to see if I can get these to burn correctly, but I really want to make a metal cage that'll sit around the outside of it so you can set a pot in it. So then the cage will be reusable and you can just have multiples of these already drilled out. All you got to do is light them up and they're ready to go. And then that cage could also work on a log if you wanted to make them from scratch if you're camping or whatever, but that's my plan. Alright, well, I got that main chamber cleaned out there. It's approximately just under 2 inches in diameter, and then I decided to leave the air intake at 1 inch. But now to start on the metal frame on the outside, and I'm trying to decide, it depends on how much scrap pieces I got and what I end up wanting to do, but I just want to make like a square frame that goes around this, and then with like a cooking surface on the top, and then on the sides I want to make it adjustable so you can move it up and down a few inches. I don't know, probably 3 or 4 inch range of motion on that. So I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna use for that, but so far so good. So I've come up with a plan for the frame to go around that block. What I decided to do is use some of the scrap from our barn. Our barn used to have those rolling barn doors, and they've like deteriorated to the point of them not being even usable, but this tube used to be part of that door. It would be mounted with that open end down, and then these rollers would be inside of it attached to the door with a bracket, and then it could roll open and closed. But so what I've decided to do is just use that basically as a pipe to cut corner pieces out of here that will essentially create a 90-degree corner on that, and then cut them into strips and then overlap them vertically, and then drill some holes where it can be adjustable. I made them 7 inches long with the intent of having them overlapped by 1 inch, so that would make a total height of 12 inches and then be adjustable down from that. So that's my plan. So I'm gonna, this will make 3. Each tube will make 3 of those 90-degree corners. So here's 6. I need 2 more. So I'll cut 1 out here, and then I'll have enough for the 4 bottom corners, the 4 top corners. Then I got to figure out what I'm going to use to attach those together. Okay, so I got my corners cut out of that tubing. What my plan is to overlap them about 1 inch or so, drill a hole, and then drill like, I don't know, 3 or 4 holes so I can just kind of telescope it to adjust the height. Those will just go on the corners of the log or block or whatever you're using, and then it can move up and down. And then to connect them, I'm just gonna cut some, I think it's 3/4 inch angle iron, and just make a base frame and a top frame, and then adjustable on the sides. And then once I get that, I'll have to figure out what I'm gonna do for the cooking surface up top. So next, to figure out where to drill the holes. Alright, well, I got all the pieces welded together for the frame. Alright, well, I got the adjustment holes drilled in there, and I went from 1/4 inch to 9/32 just to make it a little bit easier to fit that bolt in there when it's trying to line up those holes. And it's kind of a tight fit down at the bottom, but it works. I know a lot of channels that build like rocket stoves and stuff like that do it really fancy and nice and new materials, but I'm just trying to figure stuff out with scrap I have on hand and with the skill level I have. So it may not be pretty, but I'm hoping it'll work. So I think I'm gonna just make diagonal pieces with 1/4 inch rod. That'll be the easiest. That way I don't have to like form any shapes, but it'll still do what I want it to do. So that's what I'll do next. Well, I got the little cross braces welded on there, and just to kind of make that hole a little smaller. See, the wind's blowing the wrong direction for this. If it needs help, I'll turn it. But so let me check what time it is so I can get a time stamp on how long this thing lasts. I ended up turning it towards the wind, and that's working better. It was trying to blow the air the wrong direction, so it's been about 2 minutes since I started it. It's been going for 15 minutes. The smoke stopped and it actually caught, so maybe that intake needs to be a little bigger, but it's going now. Well, this has been going for 35 minutes. It's going pretty good, I think. Nice and steady. I don't want it to burn too fast, but so I'm gonna put pot of water on there just to see how long it takes to boil. It's just one of those Dutch ovens. I got that pot on there, and it might be a little bit too short of the headroom in there, and I could adjust it. I actually checked this, and it's not hot, so if I wanted to mess with it and adjust it, I could, but I'm just gonna leave it alone. The fire's still sucking in, not coming out the back, out the hole, so just leave it alone for now. Let's see. Yeah, it's only been like 2-3 minutes, so I'm not surprised that it's still cold. Well, it's been right about an hour, and it's burning good. I think it's smothering it a little bit from being too close, but it never did get that water boiling. So I think if it were higher up, it would have boiled, but maybe that means you can control the temperature just by adjusting it a little bit. So that's what it is. I'm actually doing another one, and this time I lit it at the top, and that worked way better. I didn't have any of the smoke. I just put some sticks down in there and lit it from the top, and that worked better. So that's how I'm going to do it from now on. Alright, well, here's my final test. I got the frame done. This block is my third attempt. the first one I just did a 1-inch hole down and then a 1-inch hole in, kind of like a rocket stove shape, like an L-shaped hole through it. The second one I did a 2-inch hole down the center with a 1-inch hole for the airflow. And on this one I did a 2-inch hole down about that far and then drilled up from the center with a 1-inch hole. And I also added some little feet on here just to make it a little taller off the ground to be able to get the air to flow under it to feed that airflow. So just gonna light it up and then see how this one does compared to the others. Starting this thing up, it's very smoky. The one I did with the 2-inch hole in the top with the 1-inch hole rocket stove style didn't do this smoke like this. The one with the 1-inch all the way L shape did do the smoke like this. So not sure if that's typical or not, but that's what it's doing. Well, it's probably been about half an hour just kind of tinkering with this thing. I threw some more stuff inside the top just to try to get it going, and good grief, that is a lot of smoke. So I would have to conclude that the 2-inch hole at the top down about 6 inches with a 1-inch hole drilled in to connect that 2-inch chamber is the one that worked the best. And then you can turn it into the wind, like as you can see the wind's coming from that way. But with the hole in the bottom, the wind direction doesn't really matter, so it doesn't like blow into the intake hole. The one where it was like the 2-inch top, 1-inch bottom, I could turn it into the wind and that would kind of get it going. This has just been struggling to even get going. It is like smoldering really good, but good grief. Right. Alright, it's probably been at least an hour after I first started this, and now it's finally running properly. So the potential's there. I know I'm just doing something wrong. Well, I hope you enjoyed the build with me. I had fun doing it, learning from different mistakes I was making along the way, but I made up several different styles here. This one's got the 2-inch hole down about 7 inches with 4 1-inch holes connecting it. This one is 2-inch all the way through it with 1/4-inch air holes. This one is 2-inch at the top, and I left it messy inside there, then transitions to 1-inch at the bottom with 1-inch, or no, 1/2-inch breather holes on each corner. And then this one's all the way through with 1/2-inch breathers diagonally. So I think diagonally makes sense because I think it'll burn more where the air's coming in, so the ones on the sides will burn faster and it's thinner there. So that's my thoughts on that anyway. But till next time, thanks for watching.